Always, and especially when you first start out, it's best to consider sewing as one learning experience after another. Okay, so remember this. With my muslin, I decided that while I did like the look overall of this, I did not like the way the neckline felt. And there's no adjusting that. That's just a style preference. So I decided to change/upgrade the look of this suit pattern to go with a different blouse. This is what we chose. This is the guide sheet finishing for this blouse. And you can see here that it's made with just regular interfacings and not lined or anything, but that look is really lovely. And I think will go really well with my pantsuit, with this jacket, and these pants in this fabric. Okay, so a thing to note with this fabric, with this pattern, the hang is a little different, right? This pattern called for, or suggested, you just look at it with me here. If I can get it zoomed in, it called for, you know, what I'm using here, this kind of silky type fabric. But you can see on the pattern that it looks like a silky type fabric, but I think it's more of a stretchy fabric than a silky type fabric, because this is a silky type fabric and it's not very stretchy. That's important to note because when you make the pattern, my chest measurements were were best suited for one size on the pattern, size 20 pattern. And then my waist measurements, which are generally off the charts, or didn't matter because this top would kind of come out to the sides. If you get your bust well, then the waist would fit, right? Because it's wider on the bottom than at the bust, and it's made to go overhead. So with that in mind, I decided to go ahead and make this top and line it. And I basically used a simplicity tutorial on YouTube, and I'll share the link to that great tutorial in the description. But I used that tutorial because this shirt or this blouse is basically just two front pieces and a back. The same thing you would have with a vest, a lined vest. So that's what I decided to do. And here's the finished product. Okay, so looking at that, you can see there are quite a few things I want to point out that I learned with this pattern. First, top stitching really gives you a finished look. When you are top stitching, your machine will probably have an option somewhere to slow down the stitch speed, and that is just gold when you are doing top stitching. Go as slow as you can go. And here where you see the doubled stitching on the bottom, like an edge stitch and a top stitch, it's because I didn't like how far away that first row was. So I went back in and put a second row, and it gives it a more finished look, like a double needle, but it was a single needle, and I just went through there twice. And you can also see that I used an orange thread to match those orange flowers, and then a green thread on the band there. Now this pattern did not call for two bands. For whatever reason, it only called for the single side, right side band. I adjusted it because it just looks more even to have two bands, especially when you've accented with top stitching, to have a more even look. And the overall blouse, let's zoom out just a little. The bottom fit is not gathered like shown on the pattern. With this fabric not being a stretchy fabric at all, it just did not gather on the sides. It hangs on my body just like it's hanging on this mannequin. Even though I made the size and used a suggested fabric, it's good to know that those suggested fabrics, get that out right, aren't always going to give you the exact same look as on the pattern. But it is its own look. And to get a more fitted look, I'm considering going in and changing the here where I've come in on the outer edge and kind of stitched in a ditch to get the lining in here. I'm thinking about going in there and taking it apart, or adding an elastic on the side so that we can get a smooth tapered look like the pattern shows. But all in all, I left this smooth on the bottom with no top stitching because I like the soft look. It makes the blouse have a softer look overall. Most of the time that is tucked, so it really won't matter. An interesting thing too about this pattern is that, she does a longer piece in the back, which with a slit there. I didn't do the slit because I lined it. Oh, let's show you some lining so you can get an idea of what's going on in there. But I lined it so I would like have a nice fit. And because I added this band on this side, I didn't really add a lining because the pattern didn't really give me a lining for a band on that side. So it's just not really just the pattern didn't give me a band. I just decided not to. But anyhow, this is the finished look of the blouse. It's beautiful overall, but it's not quite the blouse I was hoping for. So I'll probably make some adjustments before I finish the suit. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.